Pamela, did the air conditioning sign break?
The air conditioning stuff. Use your little fan.
It works better if you point it this way.
What?
I said it works better if you point it this way.
Oh, yeah. There. Share with everyone. Becoming very sharing this night. I don't know, Mark. I think you're somehow getting younger and handsomer or something.
In California, we all drink from the fountain of youth. It's just in our blood.
I think you're all vampires there.
That too.
Good evening, Joe.
Good evening, sir.
I think it's good this evening to again do the centering. I call it centering, I don't call it meditation. I don't have in mind for anyone to close their eyes and drift back into the quiet comfort of the picture of Dorothy Lamour or anything like that, or Poppy or something. I suggest to simply be here and find a place of strength, of health, of courage in yourself as you're standing. That perhaps some even lift their finger to get more energy. Be into yourself, into your power, into your independence, into your strength and your health. And it's not necessarily located in one spot. It isn't going to be in the Dantian or anything like that. It's going to be all over your body. Courage. Yeah. Power. And this you can do at any time in your life, any circumstance in your life. Just be and find the place where you're strongest and healthiest. Are you awake in there, Jeff? Yeah. Also breathe, not just diaphragmatically, but fill the lungs, move the diaphragm. It comes up to the shoulders up here, to the top part of the lungs, where there is a movement up here. It isn't all just little tummy flappings. Big. We're looking for strength, for health, for power. Look at the crew around you. All these people are on the trip that you're on. let it enter your mind that you have no idea of where the item called you, how far it extends. Might extend 3 feet, 10 feet, might extend to across the street. It is an extension of you. You do not end with your skin line. If you can think of something you like and you want, feel the hunger for it. Want something and feel the hunger. Yes, I want it. Remind yourself that you are young, healthy, powerful, you have desire, and you want to live. What are you thinking about this evening, Yossi?
What was going through my head now, just a second, was just be here now. Don't think. Just stay in front of everything that comes up and just look at it. And don't engage with anything. Don't engage with anything that comes to you about when you're thinking about something, what someone else may be thinking about you, how you may look from the out. Just like stay in front of everything that's going on, and just stay with it. So I stay with it, and the more I stay in front of it, the more strength I feel from within. Of basically just holding my I'm not guarding anything, but I'm not engaging.
Has it occurred to you, or do you think sometimes that many people have a sort of picture or a definition or a description of what it means to be awake, what it means to be in work? Sort of, you should look like you're in the work. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
What do you think of that idea?
What? That different people look at different ways, doing different things, and different people look different, doing the same thing too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily something that shows. You can maybe see it. It's not, I don't think they're like, this is the way to you look for this and that. Someone's working, and if they don't have this and that, they're not working. Each one works the way they work on whatever it is that they're working on at a given point in time in their work.
Can everyone hear him clearly? The idea of essence work is to help the person balance, set their inner drives and creations freer, to live out the life that they most probably came to this existence to do. Many people, especially in fourth way work, have a basic image that if a person is really doing their work, they should succeed financially and family, what their life should be successful. They should look successful and healthy. They should have lives that others wish to model themselves after. You should be a lot closer to the ideal person. That's an opinion that still holds, and I remember it being part of the picture when I first started, and it's still part of the picture. How many times have I heard said, well, if a person does not look like they are the owners of a Fifth Avenue brownstone and this and that, the picture of success in America, you can't possibly be successful at work. Who's going to want to style themselves, their progress, with a person who doesn't look like they won the war? I always thought that was pretty dopey. And I still think it's pretty dopey. I still think that it's very dopey. In other words, I guess a fellow like Mitt Romney, who looks like he's really healthy and strong and wise, has friends, has a marriage, has children, has a business, we should all go study with Mitt Romney. He's the leader. Yeah. And if you don't fit somewhere near that description, you're goofing off, or you're not doing it, or you've got a lousy teacher. Well, something is wrong. When you're sitting, you shouldn't sit like a dopey person. Sit up like a real person. I found that trend of thinking horrid when I started out, and I find it more horrid these days. Now, to make a colorful contrast, here we may meet somebody who's tall, handsome, Yale graduate, tons in the bank, definitely proper wife, everything is the picture of the next vice president or something. Well, I dare say that it's all too possible that that person would start working on their essence and wind up having a small canoe repair shop in the middle of nowhere, just making enough to go fishing and pay the rent and keep up most of their life insurance. Because not everyone was sent here or decided to come here to do something, and that something should be a visible, acceptable, white version of success. So sometimes there'll be a guy be lying on the floor, stoned out. And yeah, he got to where he's supposed to be in this lifetime. His parents gave him a corporation to start with, and he quickly ruined that and got on with some serious work. The idea of working on self is finding your true inner center and then proceeding your life in terms of what that being came into existence to achieve. Does that make sense? Let me hear some back.
Yes.
What kind of an answer is that?
It makes perfect sense. Like from the moment you started speaking, I mean, like I'm just like what comes up in my mind are all these Indian teachers. I was thinking of Ramana Maharishi, and like there was lots of. They're just there with arthritis, and they're there on their thing, and they don't have anything, and whatever they have is
The
whatever.
Maharishi, those guys, there was one of those guys that owned something like 130 Bentleys.
Some of them own, some of them don't own anything. They just sit on their little mat, and whatever is offered to them is offered to them. And they don't look too great. And they limp, and they're sick, and they're not successful in any.
Do you want to study from somebody like that?
Well, apparently, yeah. When you read what it is that
Oh my
they're
God.
talking about, it's very interesting. And I mean, I'm seeing people on the street every day that seem to have wisdom in their eyes, and they don't seem to be, on their way to some, amazing career or anything. Just people who are on the street, and they have a lot to say, and there's a lot to learn from them. So I don't know. I mean, I do know.
What do you think? What does that mean?
I think that there is a very signifying quality to people that are truly deeply in some form of esoteric study. I think it's undeniable, and when it's there, and when it's not, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think what their outward appearance is necessarily ever a good monitor. But there is a quality about them that is only found in the negative space. If it's not there, then it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
A teacher for me, someone I'm going to learn from and trust and surrender to, that person had better be damn solid. Anything short of solid, and they're a circus act. That's what I think.
Do you think there's a situation where somebody comes to this life to pay back for a lot of suffering, to learn beggarship, to learn to have nothing, to really fail in all the respects that someone else may measure them by?
I think that every soul has to be polished in a specific way, and that as we reoccur, a different side of us has to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, humility is sometimes a lifetime, and self-denial of attention or approval is sometimes part of that work. I know for myself, I have to avoid things that put me in spotlight or around personal fame. It's been an intuitive feeling for a long time, and it's something I've avoided for this reason. That would be a reckless road for me in this lifetime, and I'm sure of it. to date.
So I interpret what she's saying as the inner being has a destiny that it must follow. And our job as workers is to find that path that the inner being came here to follow and let it follow it. Let it live it. It may have come sometimes. They say that in Sufi literatures, the great masters were people that aroused hatred in every place they went. They were the terrible people because they had a reason for doing so. So if it's in your destiny, in this lifetime, to achieve this, that, or the other, to experience this, that, or the other, to suffer a lot, or to have wonderful events in your life, allow the idea that a lot of what you came here to do is not going to be so delightful. May seem to you, or the person living it or experiencing it, may seem a dreadful, dreadful existence. But the person doesn't know that their existence, whatever it is influencing the existence of another person who perhaps, to avoid what they're seeing, take in an opposite direction to do something else. I believe that there's no way of knowing except to somehow search continuously to find if that inner being is of the opinion that it's doing what it came here to do. And it doesn't matter what it is that it came here to do. Not all beings came here to be good, proper, unselfish. They came here for a reason that is basically their concern. And they live out whatever it is that they came here to do, or to learn better than do, and then pass onward, leaving some people with envy, leaving some people with anger at what they saw. Maybe the person that looks upon the individual and says, "My God, that's dreadful," from that moment on decides not to follow on a road like that and become something else. Work is an individual experience between the being who's living and the destiny is playing out. Some came here to be nice guys, and some came here to be demons. And that's what they do. I think that the failure, the great mistake, is to not follow the road that you reincarnated or first incarnated for, that is what you should become. Fortunately, a guy like Brahms became a musician. He could probably have also have become a shopkeeper. Who knows?
You taught me years ago, Gil, that in order to know what we're discussing, it was important to set our compass so that it would constantly work against our mechanical nature.
Mm-hmm.
So our mechanical nature is inclined to choose comfort, and the work is therefore to push against that.
If that particular entity is inclined that way. Sometimes a particular entity wishes to do this or that or the other a million lives, and then at some point in their lives decides, gee, what it seems best for me is to be in a small church in a little godforsaken country in Africa or someplace. Some people, that was their destiny to do that. They should not have mistaken and found that to be too lowly a calling, too inferior a calling, that they should have what their neighbor has. Not all folks are destined to be examples of good citizenship. Castaneda had said, follow the path with the heart. And I think that most of the training time is spent in seeing what the path of the heart is. And where is the heart within yourself that's yearning for something? In old-time myths, the lonely hermit in the woods who's blind and plays violin has a destiny that he must be there to encourage that which comes across his path. And who of the mortals is wise enough to have eyes that tell him that is the wrong path for that person? My gosh. Anyone that can see that should be at the track picking winners. We don't know who's on the right path for themselves or the wrong path for themselves. Parents, of course, understand not every child was meant to go to Harvard. Some were, and some weren't. And of course, along this list, we have to include ourselves. Are we observing what we see with clear eyes that see reality? Or are we looking at our lives with the eyes of our neighbor? It's essential for everyone to look at the society that they are born part of, or wish to be part of, or wish not to be part of. What's desirable, acceptable, honorable, worthy of a man in a certain tribe is not what's worthy on the streets of New York. Careful that what you want is not the essential desire from your soul, but is the implanted desire into your personality who is seeking to be accepted. Lord knows where, but is seeking to be accepted. If you were born with the heart of a lion, you're going to make a lousy giraffe. Far too many schools of thought take it upon themselves to form an image of someone who is an end product that organization can be proud of. I propose that 99 times out of 100, those are false organizations, deluding under very, very false ideas. Some more feedback somewhere, Doug. Why not you, sir?
It's your suggestion that we look at ourselves from ourselves, not from the eyes of a neighbor. This man reflects on that oftentimes he's looking at himself as something much worse than the eyes of a neighbor, the eyes of a personality. He can't recall a time where the eyes of a neighbor put thoughts and feelings forth such as, you are fake, you're an imposter, you're not of any value, you don't deserve life, health, wealth, happiness, and so on. And yet this man struggles with personality for a very long time that says exactly that. Something for him to be aware of, and something many times he has been aware of. And today, through a process of fasting and staying aware of himself, he had a very profound realization and awareness of that personality halfway through the day, and has stayed with him. As to the look of the work, this man takes a micro example, this room specifically, really macro in a sense, because this man has never met anyone else in the work. Where has he got the image of a person working? Well, in the fourth way literature, it speaks of a good householder, someone who, if they can't make a few dollars or keep their word, it's unlikely that they'll be fit for this kind of teaching. And then it so happens that so much conflict and interpersonal issues and failures, we'll call them, in the world of business or interactions with others stems from what this man understands to be misfiring of the emotional center, or just not being able to detach from emotions. And so it doesn't seem to this man that the image of a person in work looking like just about anybody in here is inaccurate. But he's absolutely open to the possibility that one day he'll meet a homeless man who is not only fit for work, but working on himself in a fashion that this man can't even conceive of. And
Do you believe that it's possible that an individual who grows up in some very, very backward tribe in the jungle or the Amazon or somewhere is fit for work?
absolutely possible. As soon as this man looks at someone else and judges them fit for work or fit not for work, he immediately recognizes, hopefully in most cases, that he's coming from a place that is sometimes called ego or personality, and doesn't believe he's fit to judge anyone else in that capacity.
I know that there are dogs who have gotten lost and a year later they find their way home. I think there was one in the current news this week. Dog traveled by himself from South Carolina or someplace. He found his family. And there are many, many thousands of stupid mutts who win the Westminster show. I guess it's very important in some quarters, the angle of how you hold your tail. I believe I can never tell the quality of someone until I really get to know them. And even then I have doubts when I question what I see and what I think.
I think there are two things here that are being discussed that are kind of like I don't know if they're the same thing. And there's let's just entertain the thought. There's a soul that comes into this dimension to do work on itself. Okay? And whatever form of work that is, it's work on itself. So that soul comes into inhabits a body and it has a life, and that is the work that the soul is doing on itself. It can be a homeless person, it can be a wealthy person. It has nothing to do. It can be a beautiful person, it can be an ugly person. That soul is doing work. We don't know what work that soul is doing, but it's doing whatever work it's doing. And here we're talking about that of something else, of us, of, I don't know, maybe a union of that body and that soul. It's a removed thing, because work for the soul that entered the bodies, whatever is going on is work. It's doing something, and whenever it leaves that body, goes back to wherever it came from, it'll have something to look on and to weigh and to see, I did this, I didn't do this, and so on and so forth. And now we're talking about, okay, it comes here and then it decides, I'll find myself a teacher and I'll read these books and I'll do this. Like, it's like the soul says, like, not only that I'll have the experience of life, I'll go to the university to do the work. Now, not all souls go to university to study work. Some of them just do the work. And they're too, I don't know, if you necessarily have to go to university to be considered doing work. You can just be on the street and not call it work at all. You're working. Everyone's working out there. They may not be conscious of working, but they're working. They came here to work. If, at least from my point of view, if I came into this world, I came here to work. The fact that I'm not aware completely of what it is, the aims and the scripts that I wrote for myself when I came here, I just don't remember, but I trust that no matter what I do, I'm learning and experiencing what it is that I came here to learn and to do. And that's in the good things and the bad things and everything. This whole experience is exactly what I need to have here, and that's what I came for. Whether I joined a group and had a teacher or not is exactly the experience that I need to have. Whether I was born in the jungle, I'm on the street, I'm wealthy, I'm not. It's everything. It's like, it's unavoidable. This is what we are here for. It's not even a choice. Not here. We're here already, so there's no choice. Maybe there was a choice before we opened that door and stepped in, but I feel like once you're here, this is it.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, it matters not whether we agree with the speaker, disagree, whatever we do doesn't matter. It's an opportunity for us to explore our own mind. If one individual sits and said, yes, that Yossi's a jerk, look what he said, I know that. Okay, fine, no problem. That person has just given themselves a photograph of where they are, and they have something to examine and something to see. Yes, I am an individual who heard somebody say this and this and that and came to the conclusion this and this and that, and that is what you can observe, because some will say that the final movement is when a person can look inside and see the directives of their heart. And have their own opinions, because there is nothing more horrid for me than a group of people all having the same opinion. That's like going to Sunday morning church and everybody's handed the book of opinions and the songs to go with the opinions. We're all going to start together and sing song number 101 while we're listening to opinion number 102. And we're all brothers, and we love each other, and we have coffee later, and I couldn't do it. But the value is that each individual here says something, and the other 10 individuals can listen, can evaluate, can absorb, can reject, can do many, many things. Reject, fine, no problem. No problem in anything. Reject, fine. But, pardon me, what part of you is doing the rejecting? Oh, which of your personalities thinks that this is wonderful? Which of your personalities thinks that this is dreadful? Which personality is doing, thinking, and saying what you're hearing? And don't tell me that it's not a personality, because if I see an essential being speak for 2 minutes here, I'll probably have a heart attack, including myself. I hear again, from time to time, but not so infrequently, well, people are basically the same in group, they say the same stuff, yes, it's boring. Well, my God, it's an opportunity to be bored. I received a communication from someone who said that they were bored yesterday or today. When I speak to them in person, I must remind them that being bored is a very nice upper class way of saying you're angry, and you're angry at the contents of your own mind. Life isn't boring, you are boring.
a child, my mother used to tell us that only boring people got bored.
She knew. She. We are not here to be entertained. We're not here for a million false reasons. We're here because it's one of the few places in this world where you can say what comes out of your tongue, and there's no CIA here, no revenuers, no police, no Pope's commandment, Secret Service. Say whatever you want so that other people can listen. Sometimes somebody says something that reflects what you think. Wow, that person says something. Yeah, I'm for that. That person's really together. And the next night, that person is such a jerk, I can't believe it. That's the importance of being here. Does that clip hold your tie down?
It can. It's holding the front and the back.
It can't hold it to the shirt if you
It can. It's
Yeah, that was very popular in the 50s. I think I had
the
about
world.
10 or 15 of those. Everybody had one.
It's actually a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the no CIA. Did you see the no CIA sign on the door, Mark?
Yeah.
No CIA.
Do I know you?
Oh, and that tie is fabulous, sir.
Oh, thank
Peter,
you.
is that a birth flight for that tie?
It is.
Oh my gosh. Somebody get out a bottle of champagne so we can hit him across the chest.
It's critical.
Hot dog. Hang out to the old one? No, it's a skittish economy, you never know. Comes the day when a lot of us will be looking to find a tie to hang ourselves with. Where's that tie? I don't want to hang myself with my good Christmas tie. Understand, please understand, you're not here to please yourself. You're not here to please somebody else. You're not here to agree with anyone. You're only here to see what this mind is doing. When it hears people talk a lot about a myriad of subjects that they feel free to talk about here, because, well, I did take the CIA sign down. I took it down myself. It was on the back of the air conditioning sign. Here I am in a room with people who are basically parents. I never thought that in my life I would meet parents face to face. I bet they even will at some point join the School Parents Association. This is a section of people. When I was bouncing on the corner, 1943, 44, World War II, married, the next day 18 guys joined the Marines. Because it's better to go to anywhere and get killed than to get married. Different times, different worlds, different people. But that world was as real as this one is. It existed. You know, I never, ever, not once, not ever, never had a black-skinned kid in school with me up until I got out of, junior high school. I was 8th grade, or go from there to high school. Never once in my neighborhood was there a black kid. Never, ever. Or an Asian kid. Never, ever, ever. That really sounds weird compared to today, but that was very normal in 1940 and 41. World changes every single moment. It changes. Values change. People change. Desires change. Rita Hayworth showed you the bottom of her knee. Oh my God, people died. That was Gilda. Takes off her glove. People die and cringe. Oh my God. That Rita Hayworth, fantastic woman. Glenn Ford. Get off that stage. Can't have that going on. It's indecent. And as surely as that world with those ideals passed, feel comfortable that your world of the 30s to 40s will pass as well, and perhaps, or most probably, what you hold near and dear and groovy and great will one day be as funny as a Rita Hayworth movie. It will pass. Everything passes and is temporary. What do you think, Peter?
I think the enormity of what we're up against strikes me. A universe of gravity. Travis spoke last week about an image of running against rubber bands or strands, trying to gain speed, cut yourself away from gravity or whatever's holding you back. And it strikes me that there's a universe of gravity that's against us. To not make that happen. And we must gain the power to continue forward. Or else we'll drown.
You're thinking a lot in there, John.
Oh.
Maybe you're just sleeping and you're not thinking a lot.
I am sleeping, actually. I just arrived red-eyed this morning, so I'm kind of trying to center myself so I can be here. And I did hear what you said about centering, and I really hear you see, deal with what's here, and stay with the moment. So that gave me a strength to not go to sleep.
Sometimes staying awake at whatever level is quite an achievement.
So
It always hits me in my car. I look at that line for like 2 miles, and my mind is in Chicago, my body's in Mars, and I'm nodding. Yuck! Instant hypnosis.
But I'm here right now, and when you mentioned about the work of a soul, it came to me that taking care of someone who has done great goodness towards me, to paying back, also is my work. So I went to California to see a woman who raised me since I was 17 and a half years old. Now she's 86 years old, and she's coming down with this elderly people's illness. So I went for a measurement and assessment of how well she's functioning. And the whole thing was very daunting, and some moments it was very shocking. But I was able to hold myself and just stay, like Yossi said, stay every minute and not get so rattled emotionally or with my thoughts. And I was maintained that stability more or less for 6 days. So it was an experience I never had before. And things are so unknowable about everything these days. So this person finds it's another experience that I have to learn and I have to go forward and onward. So trying to feel power and strength and have a faith that will go onward. Because it's very easy to AWOL and abandon the ship and say, I cannot do it, I'm not the person who anybody can count on. So it's a static, that voice is there, and then there is a sense of one's heart. So it's a juggling act. But it was good for you to start in a meeting with centering ourselves.
Whatever one does, listen to the voice from the heart. Sometimes it is not your heart speaking to you, it is a clever villain. Listen to that voice and learn to recognize the voice that's true and the voices that are lying. Once you achieve that, most of it is done. How can you achieve it? That's to be looked at, examined, thought. How do you know which voice comes from the real path? We don't know because they all sound wonderful. Perhaps that's meant, perhaps that idea was reflected in the sirens at sea that sing beautiful songs. And we follow them to our death without realizing that they are lies. But if you can find the real essential statement, do that one. The beauty of a community like this is that you can come here and say X, Y, Z. I think that's real. I think that makes sense to me. And perhaps some people, if there are honest ones left, will say, well, I tell you the truth, that sounds really stupid to me. You say, really? May cause you to look at it again and again and again and ask people, what do you see that's stupid about it? And if they're honest and they're really your friends and they're really working, they'll tell you. Who can you count on in this world that is going to say something to you that they believe is really true that has nothing to gain. As they say, vested interest. No vested interest. Parents want their children to become this and that, and friends want and relatives want, everybody feels they have an investment in this creature. Isn't there anybody who's honest that has no investment? That's what we're trying to find here. Honest people who have no investment. You're smiling? With a tie like that and a clip like that, you're smiling?
Yeah.
All right.
It's the story of being honest and telling the truth, and the idea of living that and putting it on the line. That being your ethos, being one admirable, honest, truthful, and that's how one conducts themselves throughout what they do. Because one can't rely on what's going to happen in life. Life will always unfold. Things will always happen. But what they can rely on is their inner self, their inner magnetism, for how they will react to things. And so the more one builds their soul, and the more one builds this idea of themselves, then they can handle any situation from where it comes and let the chips fall where it may. And this idea has taken a long time for this man to believe in and to even understand. And so now putting this into action is beautiful, and to have this be a way of life, a mantra, if you will. And so the smile, as he taught me, was thinking of how this man had put that into action over the last few months, and how it's gotten to where he is today. It's a really beautiful thing, and so it zinged something inside of me that rang true for how to be. And it's something this man could never have done 5 years ago, but now he has a stake in the ground, he's building his house out of stone, and he's moving up to see what the next thing he can do is, because he knows he has his foundation.
In a few minutes, I want you to speak about what you had in mind. He tells about somebody who is honest and will tell the truth. See, don't look in my direction. Because I'm from the South Bronx, I'll tell you whatever is convenient for me to get off this block alive. Unless you're one of the gang. Then towards the gang or the brotherhood, there's an element of honesty. So it doesn't hurt to think that in this group, for these people who are part of this society, who are part of this thing, yes, it's proper to be honest. Proper to be honest once you hit the street, in no way. In no way. So I'm not here to preach honesty. In a small group of sworn brothers, be honest. And as you get hit back for it, look out, because an agent has sneaked in under Keanu's nose. You know what an agent will do just for a piece of make-believe steak. So, that beautiful gal in the red dress walking down the street, she's an agent. Aren't they all? Make sure that you're not talking to an agent. That's why it's important. Come here, be bored, be whatever. Be here. So, others can see, and others can hear, and you can hear what's going down. What is this person? So that sometimes there's some honesty. You turn around to somebody, or you hear, hey, you've been talking about going back to law school for the last 4.5 years, and every September you find a reason not to go. Do you realize how badly you're dancing? And maybe sometimes the other person says, wow, gee, I thought this was the first time I mentioned law school. No, man, you've been talking about law school for 5 years. When are you going to go, or aren't you going to go? And if you don't go, well, why not? Wow. Wow. That's the way people used to act in dope groups. Very honest, very straight, and right ahead. Somebody in the group would turn to them and say, "Man, I wouldn't believe what you said if you bled to death, because you're a lying rat." But you never hear that among polite folks. I learned a lot in those rooms. Sir,
Okay. Thank you. Mr.
now
Gil.
what can I do? 'Cause I want to hear you. Is there any
Okay.
way to make this...
I could talk louder. I could talk.
You could talk
I could
louder?
talk louder, and I could stand.
I don't want you to hurt yourself.
I could stand there or something. Either way. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to talk tonight. It's good to see everyone here. I always think it's fun and